Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's great to be here. I will get into my presentation mode and then I will start. You guys are seeing the presentation mode, correct?
Perfect.
Perfect. And also do this so I can see your faces. And we'll go from there. So, thanks for the nice introduction. You already touched on a few things, but I will explain what I do and why I do what I do. So the title is The Feasibility of Remotely Delivered Exercise Sessions in Caregivers of Adults with Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. So I have several pictures down below here. They are a different or the equipment for a different training technique. It's called blood flow restriction technique. I will explain and provide some more pictures and details about how or what they do and how they work. So, little bit of background information. As I said, I want to take you guys through how I got to the point and then I did this research study. So, we all know that our average American's life expectancy has been increasing, and individuals ages 65 and older is projected to nearly double from 52 million to in 2018 to 95 million by 2060. So that's a fact there. So, but however, this aging population is struggling with increased prevalence of Alzheimer's disease, and now affecting nearly 1 out of 9 individuals over age 65. And approximately 80% of these adults with Alzheimer's disease in the US live in the community. So, what does that mean for others, for the family members? So they serve as family caregivers, and now it's more than 16 million Americans provide more than 17 billion hours of unpaid care for adults with Alzheimer's disease or other types of dementia. So it is a growing problem. And these family caregivers are at increased risk for many health issues, such as depression, anxiety, stroke, and cardiovascular disease. When I was doing this type of research and when I saw that number, it was shocking. So it is a lot of unpaired care, a lot of people are involving, but it is not easy task to do and a lot of burden on them and they are struggling as well. So in my mind, I see a lot of things from different angles, but one of the angle was that as an exercise physiologist, knowing that we can prevent some of those or we can improve some of these problems, and I knew that. And then in my mind, it's just again, healthier caregivers equals to better care. You know, like in my mind, first thing came to mind, but I'm sure everyone heard this. I knew that it like an old saying says, happy wife, happy life. And it was like similar thing to, in my mind. It's like a happy caregivers, healthier caregiver, a better care. So then we can also prevent some of those things. So we will help the healthcare system and also improve their health, prevent certain things. So you know what? That idea sounded really good in my head. And as I was mentioning that, we all know physical activity known as one of the best non-pharmacological approach that prevents or certain diseases and or improve health outcomes. But as I said, everyone knows exercise is good, but we don't. Well, what is the problem? What are the things, obstacles, barriers prevent us doing things? And that was one of the things that I also had a lot of research in that area. Looking at this, everyone says, I don't have time. And if we look at this, basically, if you want to go to a gym, if it is the closest gym, you need to drive about 20, 30 minutes. Driving back 20, 30 minutes, an hour there. If you're trying to exercise for an hour, or and again, take a shower, we're talking about 2 hours or more, maybe even 3 hours. So then again, it's very difficult to dedicate that much time out of your busy schedule. And then other barrier was limited resources, lack of skills. They were afraid of being injured. And again, facility access. Cost is another thing, how much you pay. If you want to go to a really well-developed gym is we're talking about 120 to $150. There are also $10, $15 monthly pays. But again, if you want to go to a better place, that's another cost is an issue. And as I mentioned at the beginning, transportation. Those are the barriers that a lot of people want to do it but can't do it. And given that the maintaining the consistent exercise routine is tough for almost all of us, it can be nearly impossible for caregivers to find time, leave their loved ones unattended, go exercise. Again, that exercise recommendation is not just aerobic exercise, lift to stay strong, and then jog, run to have a better cardiovascular fitness. But again, there are barriers there. So as we know that US population ages and health issues become more widespread, the caregiver burden intensifies and creating an urgent demand for innovative, scalable solutions to assist caregivers. So currently the problem what we have is, yes, again, science is there, facts are there, but again, go exercise. I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't have car. I can't drive. And it is a lot of things. So what do? We don't have any alternatives. Alternatives out there is with obstacles. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I've showed some of those things. So there is a technique called blood flow restriction training technique. Okay. So I've been in that field and considered as an expert for blood flow restriction for many years. There, what you do is, and we have done, I have done many different research um, to figure things out and understand the rationale behind it. So, what blood flow restriction training does is uses very low intensity exercise. So basically, I know this slide is kind of crowded, but I want you to focus more on these colored lines. Okay, so this is 20% 1RM versus more than 70% 1RM. Let me explain those, what they mean. 1RM is one repetition maximum. That is the highest load you can lift with proper technique. If we put this one in perspective, let's say again, like this guy is actually doing biceps curl exercise. This is the exercise. So what we do is we actually first warm up and then we lift certain weight and then rest and then increase the load and then try to lift again to figure out what is the maximum load, what is my maximum capacity for my biceps muscle. And again, for an example, let's say if we do this test, one repetition maximum test to figure out what is the maximum load that you can lift. And then if we do this, let's say again, for the discussion's sake, let's say your maximum or individual's maximum is 100 pounds. Okay, so keep that number in mind. So usually for training purposes to get stronger, build muscle, you need to lift certain weight. Okay, so that's usually what it is suggested is 70% of your maximum. In that context, in that example, you need to lift at least 70 pounds up to 100 pounds. And if you tried that, if you have lifted before, that's not easy lift. And probably if you have gone to gyms, you have heard so many screams, yells, and sometimes cuss and curse. It is tough. Okay. So you need to do this and you need to do certain repetitions and certain number of sets. It's not just one and then I'm done. And no, usually 2 to 3 up to 5 sets of, depending on the weight you choose, 12 repetitions to all the way down to 1 repetition. So, as I said, if you want to get stronger, if you want to build muscle, you need to lift high loads. Done. You like it or not, this is a science. That's it. But with this technique, as you see in this picture again, there is something called blood flow restriction. But again, I want you to understand that there are a bunch of different type of equipments out there. They're all different. They're not all same. They're not all great. Okay, so I want you to know that. But again, you put it around your arms and do arm exercises, or put it around your legs, do leg exercises. But when you do that, you are restricting blood flow to the limbs. But what we are doing is we are not restricting blood to go in the muscle. We are restricting the blood to get back to heart, okay? It's called venous return. We are restricting the venous return, blood going back to heart. It starts accumulating there and it is less blood going back to heart, but not just again too much. So we adjust the pressure. Okay. With this, what we do is we are using 20% of 1 RM. And again, picture that example that I gave you. Instead of 70, 80, 90 pounds, you're only using 20 pounds. When I first trained people, they got offended. They thought I'm just like being, or I'm insulting them. Like there is only 2 plates, everyone else lifting 7, 8 plates, and they sort of, come on, I can do better than this. Like, look, hey, okay, I know, just bear with me, just keep going. And then the idea here is you use very low load, but because of changes, physiological changes happening, as I said, blood accumulates here. So the feedback back going to brain is more, because blood accumulation also helps to increase the byproducts. We call it like, let's say, lactic acid or hydrogen ion. It's going up here, it's not going back, and it's not cleared easily. Therefore the signal back to brain says, holy cow, we are doing extreme high intensity exercise, we need to do whatever. The hormonal response is way higher. You trick the brain basically. Okay. So it's easier on the joints, but the physiological ways and the neural adaptation ways, you are getting almost exact same response. So muscle grows in a same manner. You get strength in the same manner. And the thing is, usually we keep the training is about 20 minutes. The most, the longest is 30 minutes. You don't do more than that. Okay, so that's the lifting exercises. So again, instead of 70 pounds, if your maximum is 100 pounds versus 20 pounds, very, very easy exercises. But I want you to understand, I don't want to paint a picture that, oh my God, you are just like having fun and feeling like you are walking on a beach. No, it's not. After a certain time, it becomes, again, challenging. That's the idea. But we do this with a very low load. Now, it's not just with the lifting. We also have this one used for walking, jogging. We call it aerobic training. Okay, so that is for cardiovascular fitness. So usually, again, the recommendation says you need to get your heart rate at a level and keep it there for a certain time to have the benefit. Do you want to have a stronger heart, healthier heart? You need to increase your heart rate to a level and keep it there for a certain duration, which is usually, if it is high intensity, 20 minutes, or moderate intensity, minimum 30 minutes there. Otherwise, you don't get any benefit. So that is a lot of intensity. Again, you are basically, again, if I try to put it into picture, you're running 5 miles, 6 miles, 7 miles per hour. Okay, so you're pushing your limit. But with blood flow restriction, it is, again, shorter duration. And there are studies show that 2 miles to 3 miles per hour, basically, you are just shuffling basically your feet. But if you do this, you see very similar improvement in cardiovascular system as well. Now, again, the last rationale I can talk about a little bit. I don't want to get into too much. But again, the idea here is basically you are also trying to challenge your heart in a way that you will see it during high intensity exercise. For example, as I said, the blood goes here. In this case, you usually put it around your legs. Blood goes into your legs, but not coming back up. So again, less blood comes back to heart, just a little less, okay? But that means heart has to keep up to match the demand. So even though you are barely walking, your heart rate goes up to 120, 130, 140, acting like it is exercising at a moderate to vigorous intensity. Therefore, heart adjusts to it to handle the demand. Okay, so that's the idea. So I want you to understand this. And I when I looked at this, okay, low intensity, shorter duration. One of the big problem was what? I don't have time. Okay, I thought, you know what? They are saying I don't have time. I can't go and then I can't pay. I can't drive. Since VFR is time efficient, you can do it any places. So you just again put it on, and this area I can exercise. I don't have to go to gym. I'll do squats and I'll do biceps curl and everything else. Then that's it. I don't need to do this, and I don't need to drive 30 minutes to drive. Come back after 30 minutes. I'm done. I'll take it off, sit down, and then get back to my work, or I'm in my house. So I thought this may be a great angle to help them so they don't have to leave. And if we do this again virtual, they're in their house and then it's short duration. So they don't have to do 2 hours, 1 hour, 1.5 hours of exercise because they are taking care of those loved ones. But I think they can have about 30 minutes for themselves. And again, they can get stronger, they can get healthier. And we all know that again, or again, I should say that we should know that exercise is also kind of addicting if you do it regularly because of the hormone that makes you feel good about yourself. It is, again, it will increase your mood, increase your mental health, increase your physical health. That's it. And that's why I thought this has a potential to at least test to look at it. That's why I decided to do what I did here. I wanted to test this idea to look at remotely delivered BFR training with these caregivers, if they're going to like it, if it's going to be effective, if they're going to stick with it, how they're going to feel about it. So here's what we did. I wrote a grant, small grant, and wanted to get the equipments that I needed to give it to them. So what we did is the whole training idea was twice a week for 2 months. It's about 30 minutes, and then exercise sessions delivered. And again, as we were here by us, and I was there most, if not all the time, and then we exercised together. As you can see, these are actually two of those um, participants, and then one of them over here, we were exercising. So the method was I bought all of these three equipment. So we bought specific, little more user-friendly BFR cuffs and units. So basically, again, this is like a blood pressure cuffs, and again, there's the meter there. You connect it and then pump it, and I would guide them, put the pressure up to this level, and then we will look at different things. And again, that's too much information, but if you're interested, you can ask later on. I can explain how you can actually adjust that. But again, that's it. We bought iPads, and then we bought Fitbit watches to track, and at least again they can track their heart rate, and then if again activity level, so on and so forth. What we did is we asked them to return the iPad and also the unit, the BFR units, but if they complete, this was they would keep this as an incentive. The Fitbit watch was given as an incentive if they complete. So that was the idea. We and again, what we also proposed that we should have some full body exercises. So some arm exercises and then some leg exercises. By the way, this was these two pictures from internet. This was 86-year-old man, and then this is 104-year-old female, 104 years old. This is pretty impressive. And again, this was a case study. She wouldn't even stand up, but after that, she would exercise about 30 minutes or so on her own after this type of training. Anyway, so um, again, what we did is we tried to find a mutual time, but usually it was in the afternoon. I had sessions 5 to 6 or 6 to 7 because again, we had a lot of trouble. They were saying, okay, so I have to take my mom to hospital. Okay, I'm in a like a doctor's office. I thought I would be getting out around 3 o'clock, but again, how you know how doctors' office are. I don't think I'll make it. If they miss 5 to 6 session, and then we'll do 6 to 7 sessions. And again, we'll have those type of flexibility as well, but we'll find the times to train them. And as you see again, the BFR cuffs for arm cuffs, it goes right around the arm, upper arm, and then for the legs, and it goes closer proximal part of your legs, and then I will guide them in terms of how much pressure they need to put on, and then we will do exercises. As you see, exercises are there, very simple exercises. We're talking about walking and jogging in place. Basically, they are just doing this. You don't have to do anything fancy. Or we'll do high knee exercises again, or squat exercises. That is good enough. And then for arm exercises, as you have seen in the previous picture, and then you will see it in the next one as well, we had some bands, TheraBands, and then we would do like some biceps curl, or then we would do triceps extension, or we will do basically it's called shoulder press. We would do that, and we will call it a day, and that's it. So what we did again, about for 1 to 3 sets when they started, we went with about 1 set depending on how they feel, and I wanted them to again progress properly, but we would give them about 30 seconds to 1 minute in between sets, and we would do all those exercises. And then we will cool down for about 2 to 5 minutes, and then I'll check their heart rate. Take care. See you later. And then they will actually turn it off. We'll turn it off, and then everyone will go back to their lives. Okay. What we did is how we understood if it is good, and we have different techniques, but one of them is called like RP. We were asking, actually, I have, this is basically what I was doing. I would ask, so I have their information in front of my, like again, this is actually still my data collection sheet. I will collect them, and then I will actually point this to the camera saying that, how do you feel? They will pick a number here, and I will know how challenging that was, and based on those numbers, I will adjust it. Okay. And then that was subjective measure of how they feel, how exercise session going. But also I will check their heart rate. That is an objective measure. I'll see how hard heart is working. Based on that, you know what? It's okay. You can still push. Come on, let's go. You're good. You're good. You have still in you. Then I'll motivate them, and we will continue and do this. And then when they start feeling, it's like, you know what? Yeah, it's 7, 8. Then we will increase, either I will increase the pressure, or I will increase the number of the exercises, the repetitions, or we added the sets. Okay. We only changed one variable at a time, and we kept going. So this is basically what I had. I recruited 10 subjects. I will provide a little more information on that one. One of the subject actually had to quit, couldn't finish it because of her father's situation and health concerns. She couldn't, but I still gave her all the questionnaires and collected the information. I included her response also in the figures you will see. Even though she couldn't finish it, I did not want to exclude, because I think she was 2 weeks short to complete. but she said she can't. And I said, I understand, no problem, that's it. So the average age was about 45. I had a subject 62 years old, subject 61-year-old, 54 years old, and then I had younger subjects as well. So again, these are height and weight and systolic, diastolic blood pressure. One of the things is they had to be in, um, again, okay shape, at least everything is under control to be able to participate. So these are the findings. At the end, we asked them how they felt about this whole program. How is this? So this PACES is the physical activity enjoyment scale. We asked them. So again, 1 is strongly disagree, 5 is strongly agree. So I enjoyed it. It is 5. Everyone enjoyed it. And again, there are certain ones is just pretty cool information. And again, this the second one I found it pleasurable. 5 out of 5. This one I think one subject gave 4, and then I think the other is 3. So again, this is about 4. It's just, and again, I was very absorbed in the activity. I found it energizing. It was very pleasant. It felt good physically while doing it. And then like this one again, it gave me a strong sense of accomplishment. It was very refreshing, exhilarating, gratifying, invigorating. So again, all positive. Average was 4.8 for all of the average of all of them. So one specific case that I want to share with you here, one of the participant at the beginning couldn't do, this is quarter squat, barely you are dipping. She couldn't do after 10 repetitions without holding it onto a chair. She couldn't do quarter squat. But at the end of the 2 months training, she was doing the last 1.5 months, she was doing about 60 of that parallel squat all the way down without touching anything, all the way down, all the way up, 60 repetitions. She loved it. She actually personally came to my office again, picked up the flyers, about 20 to 30 flyers, and she went back to put it out other places to circulate it into doctor's office. She was so happy with it. So again, that was one of the examples. Everyone else, I asked them, each one of them, they felt stronger, they had more energy, they felt good about themselves. Everyone. Okay, so I think again, I don't have to go back. One of the subject you see in that picture that we were exercising together, even though she finished, so she was one of the first cohort. Even though she finished, she continued with us 2 more months, actually. She was coming in, and I told her that, again, these are the sessions. You want to jump in? I said, I don't need the cuffs back. So basically, you can keep it. You'll return it at the end when I need them back, but you can keep it. And if you want to join, you can still join. She kept joining the sessions later on as well. So then again, for this one is, these are the negative questions, and if they did not like it or not, the strongly disagree is 1. And again, as you can see, all 1. I think one of them was disagree. So again, this is a little over 1, but again, it's all 1. So then those questions, I felt bored, I disliked it, strongly disagree. It wasn't fun at all. Again, it's 1. It made me depressed. Not really. I was very frustrated by it. No, it was not at all stimulating. No, they found it stimulating. And I felt as though I would rather be doing something else. Nope, they did not. They wanted to do it. So all of these were really, really good responses. And again, the main idea was feasibility. We wanted to look at the satisfaction. We wanted to look at the retention and also the compliance rate. As you see, overall 95% satisfaction rate, and retention rate was 90% because we recruited 10. One had to quit, couldn't finish it actually. So again, 90%, and then they completed every reps I asked them, even though sometimes it was struggling. Come on, we can do this. And then they just finished all of them, and then it was really good. Conclusion is these results suggest that BFR training delivered through group video conferencing is a feasible and potentially effective approach for promoting and enhancing physical activity among caregivers of individuals with Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. And of course, it wasn't that easy. So again, when I say it, it's fun. I enjoyed it. I loved doing it, but it wasn't that easy. Okay, one of the big thing is again the recruitment, finding eligible participants. I had two participants showed up, so happy, so excited. Started reading it, and then I say, in about 2 minutes, they said, "Oh, both of us are diabetic," and that was exclusion criteria. We couldn't have it. And then they had to, oh my gosh, shoot, and then they had to travel all the way back. So, and then arranging meetings. Okay, so I don't have time. No, I have to do this. I have to do that. I have a class, and all of those things were very struggling. And also travel distance to meet. I had participants wanted to come. I don't remember. I don't remember the name of the town, but it was about 3 hours from here. She said she was physical education teacher. She loved it. She saw it. She fell in love with the idea, but she said, I cannot leave my dad for 3 hours. And she was saying that he was a veteran and I cannot leave him for 3 hours and meet with you 3 hours back. That's one day I don't have anyone to take care of him. Can we do anything? And I was like, okay, I have class here, I have this, I have that. And then it's like, you know what? I couldn't. So there are a lot of struggles as well. So that was the biggest challenge for whole study as well. Future directions, I loved it. And again, there's a potential. I actually submitted a grant about 5 days ago. It was very stressful time as well. But I submitted another grant proposal. This is for R34, but doing it a little bigger. But I wanted to include not just Alzheimer caregivers. I wanted to include every type of caregivers. And I had the 4 different categories. And I also wanted to explore their obstacles, their responses, because not every caregiver will be having similar burden or similar obstacles, because it is so different that again, if you have to pick up someone or transfer it or dealing with someone with mental disability. So I wanted to have a bigger picture and identify if they have different type of obstacles. And I want to see if this type of approach will be also feasible to do with every type of caregivers and understand the feasibility of that. So that being said, that was my conclusion, and I'm ready for questions.
Thank you so much. If anybody has any questions, feel free to just unmute yourself.
Thank you, Dr. K. So very, very interesting findings. As you know, we all study like dementia, Alzheimer diseases. So very interesting focus on caregivers. I'm wondering, do you, in additional to this physical activity, do you also measure cognitive function? Like if you measure before exercise, after 2 months, you measure again, if they can improve their cognitive, like I'm using Montreal cognitive assessment.
So great question. I don't remember. I think it was about 5 years ago. No, I know. It was 5 years ago. I was part of RECMAR, and actually one of my proposal got accepted. But on that year, I was proposing to train both caregivers and people with dementia. Not really like maybe like I was debating, but I decided to do mild cognitive impairment. Okay, there. It got approved, and again, that's I became part of RECMAR. But that year, I got promoted to professorship. They said I'm not qualified anymore. I couldn't perform that study. but it was my goal to do it. So that was the idea. I know that there are studies showing that cognitive improvement. And then, and again, that proposal I've submitted, I don't know if I can remember some of those details correctly, but um, they have looked at one of them. One of the study was from Australia. They have looked at the level of physical activity they have done and the percent of prevention or percent of decreased risk for dementia. So they have also shown that if you're more active, you have a lower risk. And I had the numbers 40% in one study, 60% in one study they have seen. And again, they were saying that if you are doing moderate intensity exercise, there is certain percent, but if you can do vigorous activity, then you have a bigger protection. So that's why I was saying this. And again, I was trying to also do this type of thing. And I was targeting the mild cognitive impairment to see if I can slow it down, if it's going to affect, if it's going to improve. But to answer your question, I I couldn't do that study yet. But it is a great idea. That's what I was planning as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another question, sorry.
Go for
So
it.
at what age, for example, like in terms of how intensity of the physical training, like age between 55, 60, you need to do this training. You cannot do too high intensity. And then at age over 60 or 70, you can, I don't know, this is not my field. How
Yeah,
much
yeah,
intensity depending on
great,
their age group?
great question. So to answer your question, this is it. This one thing we use that we call is relative intensity. So you don't need to compete with anyone. So this is not one like a aspirin for any disease, every disease. It's not like that. So it's not one fits all. So what we do again, we are looking at those are the things like I'm looking at your heart rate. I'm looking at your how you feel, and I am testing you. If I do some of those things, I'm going to train you. I'm testing your maximum. It could be only 20 pounds. You can only barely lift a gallon of milk. That's perfectly fine. Then I will adjust it based on your strength, and then you will build up. That's the idea. So there is no limitation. But again, if you are way low here, but you need to build to get there. But again, someone starts here, then they will go up. But that's it. We will adjust it based on their fitness level, strength level, and any other things. So again, look, their physical abilities, we will adjust those things. And like I was saying, we will progress properly. And I have the certifications and all of those, again, hours and hours discussion, but there are different ways to look at to how to increase. And again, how much is enough, how much is too much. All of those, we have criteria we use, and then we go slowly, but we will continue progressing to improve their health.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a question from Leila Gutierrez, who is an OTD student. They say, what BFR cuffs did you use and does it matter?
It does. Beautiful question. So, the one for this study, I used Be Strong. And you need to understand the cuffs out there are not really, they're not the same ones. Okay. So, and again, I can show you a bunch of pictures. It's scary if you do not do it properly. It can be detrimental. I want to highlight this. With these cuffs, it's not. It cannot be detrimental with specific cuffs because it will never ever stop the blood flow. So you need to understand some of those things. And even I had a student saying that, tell me, I can get bigger. I'll do whatever you say. It's like, no, not really, not whatever I say. You got to be careful. So you got to ask me, and you got to have the rational. He goes, no, I don't care. I'll do whatever. No, 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 no. But that's the idea. So you need to understand this whole idea. So people actually, you can even type on the internet. You will see a bunch of crazy pictures. People actually use the elastic band and then tie it and then just around their arms, and they exercise like that. So you need to understand. So cells are alive. They need oxygen. You need to know how much your blood you're restricting. If you are totally choking them and pushing the limit, there are a bunch of different things can happen. So that's why, again, this is science, and there is a big science behind it. Wider cuffs actually can occlude, that's the term we use, occlude blood flow. And if you don't know what you're doing, if it's wider cuff, you're using them, and then if you're doing the similar things, it may be way more intense than you think, and you can cause troubles. Okay, so that's why it matters. And again, there are good ones. Then again, it shouldn't be too wide. Elastic ones are better, but again, you need to know how much pressure you're putting into those cuffs. Okay, and again, it depends. A lot of science behind it. Again, I cannot explain all the details, but for arms, you can also, with the lower pressure, you can cut the blood flow with certain pressure, but legs are more difficult. Legs are almost, if it's especially it's a bigger legs, it's almost impossible to cut the blood flow with the narrow cuffs. Wider ones you can. Okay. So then again, there are cuffs. You can set the pressure before inflating and then set the pressure after inflating. A lot of details in it. But again, what I used was be strong, and they are more or safer than many others and more controlled than in many others.
I think a little like follow-up question that I have for that is like issues with like the Fitbit or like any other sort of like material. Like I know that we always say that, oh, we're not sure how they'll handle like the technology. So like them receiving the iPad, did they have any issues with any of that?
No, that's good. Actually, yeah, I'm also like again the follow-up study that I'm planning. I'm also gonna look at this. But what we did is everything was actually, if I can bring that is there, but it's no need. I think what we did is we downloaded Zoom, and I already created a link for that. And again, at the inside of that cover, we put everything. So again, this is your password, and click on this, and then this is your Fitbit. So they actually we uploaded or downloaded and uploaded to Fitbit the account or the app, and also Zoom. We sat down with him for an hour, and I said, click here, and then this pops up. This is the number. Enter, hit enter, voila, we are here. Okay, got it, got it. And then we did that for them, and then based on their watch, we inserted for them. We created and then gave it to them. We said, just click every once in a while. Everything went really well. No one had any problem. So that part was easy because of those two. We already done everything for them, and then we just gave it to them, and they actually they did not have any problem with any technology or any of the equipment.
So if those are the questions that we have for today, thank you so much, as always, Dr. Karabulut, for being here and presenting. If there's any questions, you can reach out to me or him, and we're sure to answer. I will have a recording that I'll be happy to share as well. So here are the announcements for this week. So first of all, we have our next seminar, which we will be presenting with Dr. CJ Martinez Mendez. So we are very excited to see what he will be talking about. Also, I wanted to shout out Shana Garza. She is our grad student here at the ION. She got second place win from 27 other posters at the American Physician Scientists Association meeting that happened this past weekend. I think it was in Houston. So congrats, Shana, for that. I love seeing all the hard work that all of the members put in. So thank you so much for representing us. And something that I kind of wanted to talk a little bit was Children's Day. So I did not know or realize how special Children's Days was until I left the Valley. So UCharGD will be hosting on Wednesday a little charreada at the Bronzeville Student Union. And I just wanted to share a little bit of the history of how Children's Day started. It is an annual fiesta celebrated in Bronzeville, Texas, usually in late February. And it was first conceived in 1937 by local business leaders. This was after a lot of recession periods. So this was a way for them to get business economic to boost again. The event also commemorates Mexican heritage of the area of both sides of the Rio Grande, Bronzeville, and Matamoros, the sister cities, as we call them, and is named in honor of the Chavo, which is a dashing Mexican gentle cowboy. And there are some other Chavos Days events. So I just wanted to highlight this very rich, very RGV piece of history and culture with everybody. So thank you so much for joining us today. We will see y'all in 2 Tuesdays.